Before we can refactor this so that it's a little bit cleaner, I'd like to add a little bit more validation. Now, when we built our form, this is where we're going to build out our validators. Right now we have our name, and here we can add a validator to the second parameter here. We'll do validators.minLength, and we'll pass in 3. Now the problem here is now we have a required validation which was defined on the template, and a validation for minimum length has to be 3 for your name. Right now, however, the only error message that we show for name is that name is required. We're going to need to expand on this so that we get a little bit more information to our users. We can look at name invalid and name dirty, but inside of that we're going to need to break that down into name required and name min length. So we'll check for each of those errors. And in here we'll do if name.errors required, then that's our error message. And if name.errors min length, and I spelled length wrong there, this .name error is equal to name must be 3 characters. Let's say at least 3 characters. Let's take a look at that now. If we type into it and go backwards, name is required. If we start typing a little more, we have name must be at least 3 characters. And if we type past that, we're showing that this does not actually go away. So we have to reset name errors. Let's go ahead and do that. Every time the form changes, the value changes, and we're subscribed to it, let's do this.name error is equal to blank, and this.username error is equal to blank as well. That way we can go ahead and reset our form every time we start typing into it. Let's give that a shot. We have name is required, name must be at least 3 characters, and as soon as we go past 3 characters, that input gets fixed. Now notice we didn't even have to add anything to our template to get that name error. Everything was done inside of a class itself. So this is really beneficial since we don't have to update our template every time we want to add a new validation. We just have to write it in the class where the data model is, and our template can stay as pristine as possible. Let's see if we can't add another validation for the name. Up where we build our form, let's add an array instead of just one validator, and we'll do validators dot max length is 6, which isn't very practical when we're talking about names, but that'll do for our purposes. And we'll do validators dot min length on the username is 3. And I'm missing a bracket closer here. All right. Now let's go down here. We'll use the same sort of syntax for username. Copy username. And this is username error. Now we need to also add a new error for max length. I know this is starting to be a lot of code inside of our class. Don't worry though, we're going to clean this up a lot. Now we have 3 validations for the name and 2 validations for our username. Let's make sure that works. All right, name is required, name must be 3 characters, and name can't be more than 6 characters. All right, so our validations work exactly as we expected, but now our code is starting to get a little bit long in the class. This is especially hard to read because once we go into our class, we look at ng on init. It would be nice to see really quickly what's happening to our class as soon as it gets activated. Right now, it's not very clear to us what's going on in this entire class. I think that'll be good enough for all of the things that we need. We have 3 validations on name, 2 validations on username. And we're able to update the errors on our template with only 3 lines of code in the template. Let's start looking at how we can clean this up a little bit so that our class isn't this convoluted.